Is anyone surprised by this? Literally anyone? So if you didn't see the news, Google Stadia is officially shutting down. It will cease operations on January 18th, 2023. There's a letter from the VP and general manager of Stadia, Phil Harrison, that you can find online. And he gives like a brief overview. Basically, they talk about how they've invested a lot of money in like the Google Play Store, how they launched Stadia. They talk about how, Stadia was built on strong technology, which I've heard that. They go on to say, it hasn't gained the traction that they wanted or expected, which is a little bit surprising. Probably the best thing about this is that anybody who bought Stadia hardware through the Google Store or like purchased anything else, like games or like DLC, are getting refunded. So that's definitely a win. Glad they're not just ceasing operations and just say, tough luck for investing in our platform. I mean, he goes on to try to like justify, themselves, saying, the underlying technology platform of Power Stadia has proven at scale and transcends gaming. Basically, they're just saying, they can use the tech for other things. It wasn't a total waste of time. And then they also go on to say that, people from Stadia, a lot of people will, remain with the company and just work in other aspects. Yeah, I mean, it's very unsurprising news. Like anybody who has, paid attention to video games or the video game industry probably could have predicted this. I mean, it's shocking to see Google say that it hasn't, I mean, of course it hasn't met their goals and expectations, but I mean, it just turns into another thing that Google has announced, thrown a lot of money at, and then canceled. So it's crazy to see, like, what did they expect from a, video game streaming platform that would have launched in what, 2020 maybe, or 2019, around then. I'm somebody who plays video games all the time, and I know we're not even close to having, video games on a streaming site be, a preferred or main way to play video games. It's insane to me, the strategy here. One thing that I thought was pretty interesting is I saw a couple tweets from Jason Schreier. The picture on the left is, Phil Harrison, that he said to Jason Schreier in 2019, and then the picture on the right is, what he's saying in his letter today. Is this just another ambitious Google project that will disappear in a few years like Google Plus? I understand. That was Jason Schreier's question. And Phil Harrison says, I understand the concern, but I think all you have to do is look at the level of investment that we have made and continue to make in Stadia. This is not a trivial project by any means. This is a very, very significant cross-company effort that isn't just my team, but it's also across YouTube. It's across all our technical infrastructure and networking team. Represents thousands of people who were working on this business. So that was in 2019, I assume prior to the launch of Stadia. And then this is what he says today. We launched a consumer gaming service, Stadia, and while Stadia's approach to streaming games for consumers was built on a strong technology foundation, it hasn't gained the traction with users that we expected, so we made the difficult decision to begin winding down our Stadia streaming service. And then Schreier again with another tweet to follow it up. I reported this last year at Bloomberg, but the amount of money Google spent to get games on Stadia is so shocking that I still can hardly believe it. Even after corroborating with multiple sources, tens of millions of dollars per game for Red Dead 2, Assassin's Creed, etc. It's just baffling. It's utterly baffling to see the strategy here. Like, don't get me wrong, I get creating things that people don't know that they want yet. And I think that is kind of, what's happening in the cloud gaming sector right now. People kind of dismiss it because it's kind of like not that great of an experience still, but I think eventually it will be a good experience. But it's just weird to see a company like Google enter this market and leave it so quickly, as if they didn't think it was going to be an uphill battle from the start. Like, again, I've heard good things about Stadia, that like the tech was actually decent, but like it doesn't make sense as a strategy right now. Like, it's not going to have the mass market appeal that they would want. I mean, I have been aware of Stadia for years. I play with, friends who play video games who probably either don't know what Stadia is or don't care to know what Stadia is. I mean, I've known what it is and I've had legitimately no interest in purchasing a controller or purchasing games or trying it out at all. Like I don't know. I'm just amazed. Like there just wasn't a market there for it. There's just not a market there. Like now if Google had created, some game studios and started developing games, and maybe they launched Stadia on the side, but then we're launching games on other platforms like Steam or Xbox, stuff like that, that would have probably been okay, because then it's like they're trying to become a publisher or something like that, or they're trying to kind of do what Amazon's doing, because Amazon's creating games and then they have Amazon Luna, which I'd be surprised if they canned Luna this quickly too, but maybe they will. I do believe cloud gaming is going to be viable. I just don't think we're close to it yet. I've seen firsthand significant improvements on like xCloud or Xbox Cloud Gaming. It has gotten a lot better than a year or two ago. And I think that eventually it will be viable. It's definitely not a main way to play games still. Maybe I'd play something like Slay the Spire or something that didn't require, you know, consistent inputs. But I'm not going to play a game like Red Dead 2. I'm not going to play a shooter or something like that on cloud gaming still. It's probably not too fair of a comparison to do this, but Xbox's strategy has just been way better than Google's was here. And I know Xbox, has been much more prominent in the video game industry with, the Xbox and stuff like that. And they have some games. I know a lot of people are like, the Xbox has no games. They got more than Google, at least. But instead of like forcing cloud gaming on people or trying to, they've made it to where you can play anywhere. That you can play on an Xbox, you can play on your phone with cloud gaming, you can play on PC. And they've definitely marketed their cloud gaming as a complementary aspect of the Xbox or of the PC. They know it's not the definitive way to play, because the tech has a long way to go, even if the tech is already pretty good. I think it would be ludicrous if Xbox was to come out and do something similar to this. I really don't think they're going to. I think they know that they're playing the long game here and they're not trying to make their money back on xCloud and the research and development they put in yet. They know they're going to be able to get their money from Game Pass subscriptions to justify the research and development of the other aspects of, their platforms. We'll see what happens with cloud gaming. Maybe it never does pan out. I have a hard time believing it could ever usurp native, like a native playing of a game on a computer or a console. I think that at best you can just, minimize the lag or input delay, but maybe, internet will get to the point where it's so good that it won't matter that much. Overall, just this whole thing with Stadia is just like, what were they ever thinking? Like, did they ever talk to a person who plays video games? Because I don't know of anybody who would ask for Stadia. I'm sure there's people who used it. I'm sure there's people who are going to be disappointed that it doesn't exist anymore. But like, you have to, know what your consumers want here. Like, I totally get you got to try to figure out what the consumer wants before they do sometimes, especially so you can beat, other people in the market to that. But it just seems like they were way, way off. If they launched Stadia in 4 or 5 years and it was a really good product, might be okay. They might have been all right. They might have been able to get some more adoption to it. But just given the way internet is right now, I just can't believe this is what their strategy was. All right, I think that's enough talk about Stadia. Hopefully, the tech can be used in other ways, or maybe it can help push forward the cloud gaming industry still in the future. It'll get better and more usable. But yep, that's it. Thanks anybody who watched. Appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a great day. Peace.